I'm still working on the cistern. I'm putting it all back together now, trying to get it closed up. And I want to get the water inlet set up so it'll start filling up with water when it starts raining. When I took the cistern apart, I took the inlet flange out of there and it broke, and I had to get a new one to put in. But when I took the old one out, I just cut it off the downpipe with a hacksaw. Putting it all back together, there's not a whole lot of room in there to move pipe back and forth to put a coupling on that joint. I could get a little bit of movement on it, but not enough to get a full-size coupling on there. So I've got a coupling here. I'm going to trim it down, the length of it down to where it's shorter so I can fit it into that spot. It doesn't need a whole lot of bearing space as there's no pressure. It's not a pressure water system or anything. It's just gravity feed, so it's not going to hurt anything to have it shorter. I just trimmed down one end of it shorter. I'm going to swap out the tools there and put a chamfering tool on and chamfer both sides of it, and then I'll swap the coupling around end for end and shorten up the other side of it too. I'll put a little chamfer on that to make it a little easier to insert the pipe in there. Well, that shortened that coupling down quite a bit, but it's still plenty usable. Well, there's where it goes down into the tank, and that's the fitting that I just put in, the bulkhead fitting. The water will run down in there, go into the tank, and then when the level in the tank gets up to near the top of the tank, the water level in that white pipe that will come up, and it just goes over then, the excess, it flows over the top of that pipe and then down into the drain field around the house. So that's what I just now put in. I'd cut that off right there, just past that T. I left enough on there to put a coupling on, but it was pretty tight. I had to dig that pipe out so I could move it around enough to get it out. And then this coupling here, where it goes from the one size of pipe to 2.5 inch pipe for the outlet, that had popped loose, so I had to clean it up and put it back together. So there was two fittings that had to fit together at the same time there. Well, anyway, that's all in now. That's all hooked up and it's ready to catch water from this side of the roof. There's the inlet fitting. I did a little cleaner job on it than I did the outlet fitting. I used white 5200 instead of black, but I didn't put near as much on it or anything. I was standing on a ladder and working on it at chest level instead of down on my knees and bending over and working on it. So anyway, it worked out a little bit better and got that on there. Well, the water will come out that into the tank. If it starts raining, it's supposed to start raining this afternoon and rain for the next few days, so we'll get water coming into the tank. And I've got gutters off on both sides of the house now, so we'll get twice as much water as we were before. But I still don't like the way that gutter is there. That thing is just flopping in the breeze there. That's not very good at all. So I've got to rig some other system up for that. I think that's what I'm going to do next. I'll run to town and get some more of that pipe insulation and put it around the perimeter of that tank, and then I'll start putting the metal on there, and I'll also get some material for running that water a little better than the way I've got it. So this is the material I've got for the cover over the cistern. The stuff that I had before was real heavy duty standing seam roofing material, and it worked okay, but this stuff is thicker metal yet, and it's got heavier corrugations, and this stuff is made to span. The guy I got it from said that I could probably walk on it on the 12-foot span across the top of the tank there. So I've got 10-foot pieces to go on each side, and then 12-foot pieces to go next to those on each side, and then there'll be a piece in the middle, and we'll have to have a door on it, so it won't be a full 12-foot. That's the pan decking there. It's pretty heavy duty stuff. It's like corrugated roofing, only heavier duty than that. Well, we got the pan decking put on. That'll keep the bugs and crap from blowing in there again. It's stuff coming off of the trees as the buds open up, and had some bugs and stuff like that. I still got a little bit of work to do on it to get it finished up. I got the centerpiece. I'm going to pull it back and cut it off about 2 or 3 feet from the other end, so it has an opening so we can get access down into the tank in the future to clean it out if we need to. That stuff is heavy. I didn't have too much trouble with the 10-foot pieces, but the 12-foot pieces were pretty heavy. Well, I got the 2 10-foot pieces, one on each side, on by myself, and one 12-foot piece on, but my wife made me call my son to come and help me with the other 2 12-foot pieces. And I was just as glad she did. It was a lot easier with 2 of us than with just me doing it by myself. Now, there's different types of this pan decking. You can get it, of course, in different gauges of metal. I forget what this is. I don't remember whether this is 24. I don't think it's 16, but you can get it into up to 16. And then you can get it in different heights where the bends are different higher. This stuff's 1.5 inches, I think. And then there's 2 different types of it. There's one type that just has a flange where this edge comes out, and it's just a flange out here, so that this piece here fits down tight on that, and that's set up so you can drive screws down through it to hold it together. And then there's this type here. This is called a B, and this has this groove on here. A couple different things they do with it. They have one tool that squeezes this together and then shoots kind of like a rivet in there between it to hold it together. Or you can have somebody go along and weld it, and weld through the top into the thin flange where it sticks through in there. Or they have a tool that crimps this and it punches a hole through it, punches tabs through there that tie it together. Well, I thought this was what I wanted, because to put the tabs in there to hold that, and that I could use a pair of channel locks to crimp it, but that didn't work. Oh, now what I'm going to have to do, I'll go find my sheet metal shears and just cut this off right here, this where this double fold is on there. I'll cut that off so this all drops down in flat into this channel, and then I can take some sheet metal screws and shoot in there on both sides, and that'll stiffen the heck out of that. But once we get the deck put on the house back here, and this extension on the house, I never need to walk on that again, so it might be kind of redundant, but anyway, that's what I'm going to do. Well, what I've got going is cutting those flanges off there, and I thought I was going to be able to do it with the shears here. That's a Malco shear that attaches to a drill. I've used that to cut sheet metal before, and it works pretty good. But cutting through these channels here, I just tried it on the far edge, and I could start out okay, but the channel is just not wide enough for the foot on that knife on that cutter, and it just doesn't want to follow the cut. What I've done then is I've got out the skill saw, and that's a cheap skill saw that I had my son buy at Harbor Freight when he was down there one year, with a metal cutting blade on it. I'm using that to cut these narrow flanges off of that, so that'll all fit down together better. Well, I got what's on there all screwed down pretty good. I got that centerpiece screwed down really good to the next pieces out. Anyway, everything's all screwed down good. I tightened that up a lot. It's still loose there on the end where that centerpiece is out, suspended out in the middle, but I went and dug out a couple pieces of galvanized steel 2x4s that I'm going to stick in there on the end of that to help support that and stiffen that end up. I've got it marked out now to cut out 2 foot 6 inches to go on that other side, so there'll be some overhang over that edge of that tank over there. And we'll get that one screwed down, and then I'll put the studs in there. Well, that pretty much takes care of that. If I really wanted to stiffen that up, I could screw that piece down there. But that's the whole idea of that piece, is to just cover the hole up, and I might put a handle on it or something so that it's easier to slide off of there when it comes time to slide it back out of the way to get access down in that hole. But that pretty much does that. That tank is finished now. I'm happy, happy, happy. Now all it's got to do is rain, rain, rain. Fill that tank up, but it don't look like it's gonna. We got a little drizzle today and a couple sprinkles yesterday and a sprinkle or two overnight. And the forecast says 30% chance of rain for the next couple days, and it's supposed to get clear and sunny again. Like I said, it's just my luck. Finish this tank up, get it emptied out and finished up and everything, and probably won't rain for the rest of the summer now. Anyway, we're ready for it when it does rain. Well, this pretty much finishes off the cistern project here. I took that piece of 6-inch pipe that I had around my 1.5-inch pipe. I'd cut that to get it out of the way so I could work on that outlet bulkhead, and I had to cut the pipe. And anyway, I just fitted it back on there, took some safety wire and wired it together, and then took some Great Stuff big gap filler and sprayed in there. That stuff's expanding, so we'll see how much that expands. It's already squirting out around the tank there, so that's good, and it's filling up more inside there. It's always hard to tell how much to put in there because that stuff always expands quite a while after you spray it in initially. The other thing that I did with the foam is up there on the top. Since that material is corrugated for strength, it's got those big grooves in it or whatnot, I took some more foam and went in there and filled in all those cavities, all those openings in there to prevent any mice or bugs or anything like that from getting in there. Well, this is what I used. It's still great stuff, expanding foam, but they call this Pest Block. I don't know if there's any difference between any of this stuff or not. Some of it is big expanding foam, and some of it is Fire Block, and some of it is non-expanding foam to put around doors and windows so it doesn't bulge those out. They had some exterior stuff for working outside that's supposed to be UV protected. Like I said, I don't know how much difference there is between any of that stuff, but this is what I put up there. That fills in all those cavities and gaps that were in there. So that thing is pretty much tight around there. There's no gaps anywhere in anything. The only way anything can get in or out is through the inlet pipe and the outlet pipe. And of course there's a little bit of a gap in the cover that goes over the opening to go inside of it. I can put some weather stripping or some sealant around that or something to cushion that, or to kind of seal that up a little bit, but I don't want a permanent seal on it anyway. So anyway, there is all the water tank is done except for filling it back up again. Anyway, I cobbled up the downspout here, brought it down and had it so that it would drain into the water tank before we put the cover on it, but now I got the cover on it, that's not going to work. And I never did like the way that thing turned out anyway, so I'm going to see if I can't do something different now. I'm going to go ahead and take that off of there. This is what I've come up with so far. I've got a 4-inch to 2-inch adapter, and I cut it just a short length of 4-inch pipe just for the collector on that. And then I went with neck that down to 1.5 inches. Got a couple of street elbows there, and then I'm just running a 1.5-inch PVC pipe down the wall of the house there. I wound up with not quite enough stuff, so I had to go to town, and boy, that was a headache. Town is crowded and it's all blocked off. The roads are blocked off. More people that live in this town were downtown there. Anyway, we made it. So I've got some plumber's tape that I used to make hangers for that with. I've got one right there to hold that adapter on there, that collector on there, and then I'll put some down that pipe. And so I've got a short length down there on that end to put on there, and then I'll go an elbow around the corner, and then we'll go down to the downspout. All right, that's done. I've got that 1.5-inch PVC pipe coming from the downspout over there and coming across the back of the house here. There we go. Put an elbow in on that corner and went over and then down parallel with the downspout that's there. Okay, this is a lash up I already had in there with this 4-inch to 3-inch reducer and then 3-inch pipe coming down. Now at one time I had a valve in there. It's just a drain valve for a gray water tank or whatever on a RV, but that froze up and broke. Well, anyway, this section of the pipe will fill up with water first with all the crap that comes off the roof in initial rain, and then when the water level gets up to here, it starts running over and down this pipe over into the cistern. Well, what I did is I added a 4-inch sanitary tee, so the pipe now goes down through the 4-inch sanitary tee down into the 4-inch coupling, and then I've got the drain pipe coming down into the tee. That should do it.
You got it, huh?
You got it.
All right.
Well, it's been about 10 days or so since we got the downspouts and everything all hooked up here on the cistern, and it's been raining pretty steady since then. We're getting pretty good water in the cistern. Well, there's the water level. See if you can see it. Half full now, which is more water in it than it was when we started the project, more water than what we dumped out. That yellow stuff floating on top is pollen from the trees around here. But otherwise, that thing is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. We got enough water now that we're pretty safe. Like I said, it's half full. So the cover is working real well to keep most of the crap and stuff out of the tank. Getting the pollen in there, because that comes down with the rain and gets on the roof and gets on everything and makes everything all yellow here, cars and everything else. And that's getting washed in there. But that stuff really won't hurt anything. And maybe we'll get some kind of one of those swimming pool filters or swimming pool nets or something, so we can get down in there and kind of clean that out of there. But otherwise, everything is looking good. See, the water is going in. There's the inlet end of it there, and there's the downspouts, and it's all working just the way it's supposed to. So we've got probably about 5,000 gallons of water in there so far. Anyway, like I said, I'm happy. We got about 5,000 gallons of water or so stored in the tank so far. But with both gutters hooked up on both sides of the house, that tank is filling up pretty fast. All right, back to another project.